So this morning I want to talk about Genesis 13. It's a very interesting chapter where remember, Abram's not Abraham at this point. Abram and Sarai left from Egypt to go to Negev and his wife and everything they had, and Lot goes with him. Now, this chapter is called Abram and Lot Separate. So Lot moves about, and they also notice that they have way too much stuff, and they don't want to quarrel because they were quarreling between the herders. Okay, so he looked whole plain of Jordan towards Zoar and was well watered, like Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose the whole plain of Jordan and set out toward the east, and they parted. Um, and then God basically tells Abram that this is where all of your offspring are going to be, and I'll make you offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone would count the dust, your offspring would be counted and go walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. Now, that's a really cool thing. Basically, it's like Abram is the father of the Israelites. And this is basically God being like, hey, I promised this to you. So this is why you have this land. I'll give it to your descendants. He's not giving it to Abram, which is an interesting thing because we always talk about the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Ishmael. Although really it's just mostly always people say Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel. But this is a really cool chapter in the Bible because basically it's like God's being like, hey, I'm going to give you this stuff, but you're not going to get it. But it explains why the promised land is the promised land. And I think that's really, really cool. What I don't like is that Abram and Lot were fighting with their herders because like your family herding's not great, or herding's great. Herding's something like that's a very common thing in the Bible that people are herders or shepherds, and it's all like, yeah, that's a very, very common thing in the Bible because it was a very common like job back then. You needed to herd the sheep, you needed to herd the donkeys, the cows, the everything. You needed to figure out all of those things, and it was one of those like, yep, we gotta do it, we gotta do it. So it makes sense. What I don't like about this chapter at all, though, is that the descendants will number more than the amount of specks of sand and dust on Earth, which is like there's more there's more particles of sand on Earth than there are stars in the observable universe. So yeah, that wouldn't fit. But it's metaphorical and all that. But also, this also says it is Abraham the descendant of all, or the ancestor of all nations. That's a really weird one. Uh, but yeah, it's one of those things that's like, why? It's a cool chapter if you're just like, yep, this is the land I'm giving to you. Okay, cool. Bye. Talk to you later. But when you add all that other stuff in, it gets to the point of like, why are you doing this?